All
Hey, how's it
right.
going, Shane? What's up, brother?
What is
I'm
up, Nick? I
I'm
am
Nick.
excited.
I'm Nick Pero. This is Shane Yirak, and we're here for some Palantalk because we're
Some
going to be calling out the
Palantalk.
techno-fascism.
That's right. Your
And
favorite show where we talk about the video game nerds who are destroying our country. That's right. Those World of Warcraft tryhards who are now in charge of everything.
whoa, don't be calling out World of Warcraft tryhards. Well, they
No, no,
tried too
no.
hard. They tried too
They
hard.
it's
They
not
tried too
it's
hard.
they make the World of Warcraft tryhards look bad, right? It's
Yeah,
their fault. They're slandering the name of one of the ultimate video games of our
and there
time.
we are. And we're on Substack, I see now too. How's it going, everyone? Welcome.
Hello, let me pull up the live here on my phone
Yeah,
so I can see
let
what's
me get
going
this
on.
live broadcasted out too. All right, let's do that. Post it out.
Rocking,
Rocking. Hey, Shane,
rocking.
it's great to see you, brother. How are you doing today, man?
I'm great. It is good to see you, Nick. It is good to be here back every Monday for our second Palantalk. And there's a lot going on in the world right now. There's a lot of techno fascism out there, and we're here to talk about it. So hopefully, you guys will talk about it more too, right? That's the goal.
Yeah, yeah, that's the goal. And that's kind of the need too, is we're in a state right now where things are blowing off a little bit. Things are going faster than anticipated by some metrics and some people. I
Yeah,
was pretty sure it was going to be rather rapid because of technological paces and growth than where we're at as a society. Um, and
I agree. Honestly, I am. I mean, like I knew it was gonna happen. We knew it was gonna happen, but it's going very quickly. And like you said, once it started, it was like it's that runaway. It's a runaway train. And there is no brakes. Like, and it is really full blown in swing, guys. Like
Mhm.
we're not going to sugarcoat it for you. This is as bad and as horrible as we anticipated, and there's a
even
lot of
it's
things.
It's
Go ahead.
probably even worse.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
even worse than what we were going to anticipate. And to be honest, we're gonna be we're gonna see it get worse really fast, really
Yeah,
rapidly.
yeah.
Um, and so let's talk about some of the news of the day a little bit before we get into the Palin talk itself, because it does relate. It does relate.
It does.
DC. So
Yeah,
we've all been hearing more than likely the reporting that's coming out of DC right now. Um, Aaron Parnas was talking about it and has been talking about it. He lives in the area. Others are also talking about it. Is there's a huge crackdown on homelessness that
right.
just happened. Which Shane and I were talking about before the show is a little bit sort of like a beta test for a game pre-release, as others might know it as, like where you get to
Yep,
go in and you get to find the bugs in the system
yep,
and work out the kinks on how to do it the the right way, or in this case, the really, really wrong way. Because fascism is wrong, um,
yeah,
and what they're about to do
right.
is really, really wrong. Um, but they're perfecting it. They're using this as test cases. And DC right now, they're cracking down on homelessness, as well as at the same time, Trump has federalized the DC police, as far as I know, and is working to do some federalized National Guard work in there, which they've already test cased in California. Weren't terribly successful. They were and weren't. because they were able to stay. The thing is, DC doesn't have statehood. DC doesn't have the same protections and guarantees and rights and leadership responsibilities from a governor because they don't have a governor. When shit goes down, Trump is the governor. The president
Right.
becomes the ruler of the town. So there, he has a lot of power in DC, and I think we're about to see it get wielded in a really, really terrible way. And a lot of what's going to happen is that's going to be the testing grounds for Palantir, for the new DHS services, to identify how quickly they can round up homeless people, who they can identify as what groups within those homeless people, and separate them into special little bucketings and say, oh, look, we found these evil people, and somehow it's just racial profiling. And it's going to be a lot of veterans who are scooped up. But a lot of me monologuing on this, but news of the day is DC is a test case. Shane, I want to get your opinion on this because this is, to me, is where Palantir is really going to
Yeah.
affect going
To
to do.
your point, right? And I agree. We kind of said this before. It's the beta test, right? They tested the federalization of the National Guard in LA. Hey, can I get away with it? Newsom sued, and he lost, right? So that was a big deal. We really lost on that. They okayed it. Um, and what we're seeing is, this is the compounding effect of all of these losses over time. And, at this point in the Third Reich, Hitler had it all, right? Like, we've been slower. Like, it took him 42 days. We're well past 42 days. So,
Well, so
um,
let's be honest. Like, let's use it proportionally. Hitler, they're faster. If you want to look at it from a proportional, like in an actual like
it's definitely smaller,
breakdown of
right?
size, Germany was a much smaller. Germany
Much
was much
smaller.
easier. Is the size of one of our states. Like
Yeah.
the country of Germany is smaller than Texas. Like they were
Yeah.
able to consolidate power very quickly because it's a much easier place to do in a smaller area. The US is rather massive.
Yeah,
And
I
also,
like that you said that, because to your point, I would say we're proportionally on time
yep,
with the
there we go.
pattern.
There we go.
So
Yeah.
we are absolutely on time, and we've seen all of these things, and that executive order on homelessness that came out, the executive order with AI. All of it is coming together, right? This big tapestry that they have been weaving. And this, I think, is also the escalation. We said is they started with immigrants, okay, but a lot of homeless people are United States citizens, okay, and that's an important, I think, an important distinction here, is that now they have made it okay to grab up a citizen without due process. That's what they're setting up here, right? And when they removed the emphasis on rehoming, right, getting homes for homeless, and changed that to mental health and drug abuse, it basically, all they have to say is, this dude looks like he's strung out on drugs. We're supposed to put him in a facility. Oh crap, we don't have enough beds. You're going to prison. That's what they've set up. And now what they can do, like to your point with Palantir and AI and all of these systems, they're tapped into these cameras. These people can't run. They're going to get a ping. They see them pushing their shopping cart. They see them setting up on the side of the street. These systems, they have, I'm trying to remember the word, but basically they have like triggers. So they'll be able to build in bias. And if they see certain things, they will alert DHS or law enforcement. So now effectively, they're going to be able to just find these people wherever they are. And we have to, again, consider we haven't seen the side effects of ICE or DHS and ICE being better funded than the Marine Corps. Okay. Like, but this is where it's all going to come into play here. This is where they're going to roll out the money. This is where they're going to roll out the people. This is where we're going to see it. And they're putting it on display. They're making a spectacle in the capital of our country
Hmm.
to make a point. They said, we can do it
So
here. We can do it anywhere. Go ahead, Nick.
so let's get into that a little bit too, is the spectacle, but also I want to first I want to key in on the homelessness part and the mental health stuff because those tie in. As a veteran, I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm going to tie these into some of the veteran stuff that's going on too, because it's like you said, it's a tapestry they're weaving. Project 2025 laid it out. They told us what they wanted to do. They told us how they were going to do it. They told us at the pace they were going to do it, and they're doing it in those order, in that order, and those steps. They are effective. We are blocking them in areas and we're slowing them down, which is what we need to do. Like people need to like guard expectations up front is we can't stop this fully. We have to embrace the fact that this is here. This is coming, and this is like we have to just be willing to figure out where we can win and where we can slow down. Shane, I know you talk about it a lot, is like slowing things down and making sure that we have time to get to where we need to because things are here. Palantir is here, AI technologies are here, and we live in a police state. DC specifically is a police state. It's the
Yes.
most heavily policed part of the country and has the most cameras. It's the capital. It's the easiest one to justify to put that type of technology into place. So they're going to do it. They're going to justify it because, like it was said in the chat, is Soso put it up, is the Guardian is saying that Trump declared and has declared repeatedly that it's a public safety emergency. And yet, violent crime in DC is at its lowest. Like in a long time.
Yeah.
Everything is safer now than it was. He's using all these public things. But getting back to what we were talking about um
I want to
for
touch
like
on the
the
emergency thing though really quick
yeah,
because I
yeah,
think it's important. All of these actions they take, one of the essential things they need is to declare an emergency.
yes.
Emergency powers are what allow them to do these things. Nothing
They
happened
rely on
in
them.
DC. Nothing's happened in DC. Nothing new has changed. But also, what I want to think about, and this is the tangential thing I thought about, if you have DHS and ICE and these military in Washington, D.C., you know how easy it would be for them to just start grabbing Democratic Congress members out of the Capitol? Like
Mhm.
it's there's no difference at this point, right? They could just march in there and arrest them for nothing, no due process. It doesn't matter because they have militarized the Capitol. So I would be very concerned. And one of the big things that, and I was last night, I went for a swim and I was sitting there looking at the stars, just thinking. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, what we have left is Congress. If we can get Congress back, you've said this before, Congress makes laws, Congress can do these things. What scares me the most about this is that it places Congress in a position where they can effectively take total control of Congress. They can arrest these people because who is going to stop them when ICE, and it's going to be primarily ICE, the National Guard is there, but ICE is 100% loyal to our techno-fascist cult friends. They are the private police. They are the Gestapo of America, and they have no interest in the actual rule of law. They
Palantir
are
is built into them.
Yes, and they are well paid. They
Mhm.
are taken care of. And of course, if you're going to have people do these bad things, if you're in ICE right now, you're balling. I think the signing bonus I saw was like $40,000 just to sign on, right? And they
Yeah,
get like
I think it was up to
healthcare.
80,000.
I believe it, right? So
And
it's
they're
like,
paying off student loan debt too. Imagine
yeah,
that. It's funny how we didn't have the fucking money 2 years ago or a year and a half ago to pay off student loan debt. I had just gotten approved for mine to be paid off. I've been out of college that I'm paying on this student loan debt since 2012, I think it
wow,
was.
yeah,
So I've been paying forever. So they're using things to get bonuses in and get people incentivized to go in. So I'm going to tie this into a point that someone in the comments is making,
yeah,
Tim,
for sure.
is about the money because that's an important thing. Is they're incentivizing people to come on into ICE. They're putting a
Right,
whole bunch of money into getting the Gestapo and paying them because they're saying, "Oh, look at all these jobs. Come serve America. Come do the patriotic thing. We'll pay you pretty decently to do it too, and we'll pay off your student loan debts if you have any, and we'll give you this big signing bonus." We don't have the money to deport millions of immigrants out of this country. We don't have the money to deport what is it? 24.2 million Hispanic people, or whatever the number is of actual Hispanic people in America. They said they want that number gone. They want that number to zero. Like, we can't forget, it's not the illegals that or immigrants they want, or aliens, or whatever you want to call people, whatever the term is. The people who are here illegally, migrants, are not the ones that they care about. It's the rest of us that they want. They're just using the migrants as a test case to get you used to the idea of scooping brown people up off the street. And no, we don't have the money to send them out of this country. We don't have unlimited funds, because guess where all that money went to? It's going out of the bonuses and into people's pockets, and they ain't going to spend that shit. They're going to spend it on crypto, and that crypto is just going to go right back into the tech bros pockets. And it's just a vicious cycle that leads right back into Palantir, Trump's pockets, and Dogecoin and shit like that. And guess
Yeah.
what? All of these people are now living under Palantir's control because, oh, you work for Palantir. You don't work for DHS. You work for Palantir.
You work for
You do
Stephen
what
Miller, right?
they
Like
want. Yeah. You work
he took
for Stephen
unilateral
Miller
control of
and
ICE,
Peter
right?
Thiel.
Like, and Peter Thiel. And like we'll talk about Thiel, but there's one thing you said that I think is important, and a lot of people probably don't know about this. One of my passions is geopolitics. Okay, so there's beyond American politics, geopolitics. So Bukele, our friend who we sent everyone to CSOT, well, he just pulled off the heist of a lifetime, and he basically got himself president for life. So he's in full blown control of El Salvador. Well, if we go back, he told Trump he was going to build American specific detention facilities. Okay.
Mhm.
So those are being built. What he says goes in El Salvador. And it's crazy because he has like an 80% approval rate. He's exceptionally popular. So he nailed what they're going for, what Trump couldn't be, because he pulled off the social media aspect. He was young, he was popular. So if he says something is going to happen in his country, it's going to happen. So we also need to be fundamentally aware that they might not have the money to deport all these people everywhere, but I guarantee you that they will flush out a way to funnel people out of this country into El Salvador, because Bukele said he'd do it, and he just cemented his power for probably the next 50, 60 years. So that's
Yeah.
something that just happened, right? And these are things, it all ties in geopolitically, right? There's a lot of bad people in the world. If you look around, the a lot of dictatorships are coming up, right? You've got Orban in Hungary. You've got the guy in Turkey, who is like, he's been there forever. You kind of pay attention. He's been there forever. So there's a lot of it's just everywhere, and there's a lot of people that are going to be receptive to this kind of stuff, and they have a lot of allies geopolitically. Like, democracy in general is on the back foot right now globally.
Hmm.
It is not an American specific issue, and the destabilization of America has put democracy as a whole in jeopardy, because we are that stabilizing force. So there's a lot like beyond us, outside of our
Yeah.
country, and it's all going to play in. And Palantir is a international company. It's going to help every single person who aligns with those goals.
Yeah. And the thing with companies like Palantir is they don't care about which side wins. They just want power. They don't
Right.
care. They don't care if the fascists in America win or the democracy in Canada wins in the long run. As long as those countries buy their tech and use their system, the Palantir wins. The thing that we're going to need to see is um, which countries are not going to use Palantir or are going to work in data privacy and data protection laws and personhood protection laws. Like, what is it, Denmark that just did that? One of the Nordic countries. There's a Nordic country. It may have been Denmark, or I'll look it up while we're talking. Though, is one of the countries in the EU just made it their like national right for data ownership. Like that
Right.
means Palantir can't come in and own your data and steal your data without your permission. We don't have those things because we don't have the
No.
parent, like the
And
adults in
there's like,
charge right now.
yeah. And if you want to look that up, I'll kind of take the ball from
Yeah.
you. Um, is very interesting. So this happened to me. Okay. So I work at a store that happened to install Flock cameras. Okay, Flock. If
Ooh.
you trace it up the chain, it goes back to Peter Thiel's investments. It goes back to Palantir's tech. So they use ALPTR, automatic license plate readers. Well, so it's crazily enough, California is one of the only states where we have a law that says if a company is going to install surveillance, employees need to be provided 14 days of written notice. Okay. Which is fantastic, except, well, this private company didn't do that. And I'm observant, unlike, because I know we talk about these things. So I noticed these cameras. I looked it up. Well, these are Flock cameras. I drove both of my personal vehicles, my fiance's and my car, to work. So now that data, it's gone. So they already have that on me. That means everywhere I drive either of my cars, it is being logged into a database that is now tracking my movements and my whereabouts. So I actually have no anonymity. Like I can't leave like my house without a guarantee that I am not being surveilled. And a big part of these eight AL automatic ALPT ALP ALPRs. That's what I'm trying to get. ALPRs is that it builds a geo map on your patterns. So it tags, it makes a timestamp every time you pass. It's not just putting your information in a database, it builds a time map of your whereabouts, your locations. So imagine now that I am somehow flagged, they finally find justification for me, even if I run away to Delaware, if one of my plates gets flagged and these cameras are everywhere. I looked it up yesterday. 70% of the American population is within range of these cameras. And to Nick's point, this is happening faster than we thought. Once they went up, that was it. Like it wasn't a matter of, once they go up, that's it. And they put them up. And that's what we're seeing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that's the technology. They flushed it out. And I want to also point out that just yesterday, 5 Al Jazeera correspondents were killed in Gaza City. They were assassinated. Okay. These people, Israel didn't know their whereabouts. One guy was just killed walking out of a tent. All right. So they just found them and he was dead. They looked for him because they're planning to invade Gaza City. It's one of the big stories right now. They're killing these people because they plan to go in. But the point I want to emphasize here is that there was no one like reporting on where he was. They just had cameras somewhere. They pinged him and he got taken out by a missile just like that, right? This is the capabilities that we're looking at right now. It's not, and this is what Flock has done. And there is some lawsuits out there. I know ACLU has one ongoing. I don't remember the state, but for violation of Fourth Amendment rights and privacy. But at the end of the day, the data is there. And this is something Nick talked about. Once they have it, they have it. That's it, right? It's over.
Mm-hmm.
And to his point, he said, like, we have to accept that terrible things are going to happen. And we need to keep talking about it. And that's what Palantalk is. But we need to actively shift the conversation away, not only from the politics of this, but to our own personal safety. Because we are genuinely all at risk here. And I'm not going to say that you shouldn't be afraid. Like you should. I'm afraid. Nick's afraid. We all should be afraid. This is the scariest. This is a nightmare. Okay. This is where Orwell's thought police come to your house because this is it. Right. So I made a note a while ago and I was like, we all read those dystopian books. This is the dystopian future we all read about. Buckle up because this is just the freaking prequel. Okay.
Yeah.
Like this is the prequel. This is what the prequel looks like. And that's, unfortunately, that's what and it happened very fast.
So going back to what I was saying,
Yeah.
because I finally found it. It's not a new law, but it is one that I was able to look at into more and see the difference. So the European Union, I come from a tech background, so there's various tech laws about data privacy and data security. The US has some of the most lax laws. We have very, very, very few, if any, rights really to our data in the US, other than they have to ask permission to use it, basically. And like you can't leak it, but our data rights compared to, say, the EU for the GDPR, which is let me make sure I actually give you guys the right words, because I always use the acronyms, but I never have to remember what they always stand for. Um, so the GDPR is, I believe it's the Global Data a general data protection regulation. I mean, it's a European law, European Union focused law that protects your data for personal and PII information, so personal identifying information, and your rights to like how they can be accessed, what permissions you give people. But inherently, when you sign up for most companies, you give them almost all permissions to your data because most people don't read all the fine print. We don't care. It's a lot of extra reading. You don't want to get stuck doing that.
Terms of service, right? Like it's a joke. You're like,
Uh-huh.
oh, just agree, right? It's always been like
Yep.
a joke in our society, like, oh, just agree. Well, the thing is, like, we agreed so much, like they'd had all this stuff, and once they finally and that was the big thing about that executive order that they repealed with the AI. So
Yeah. So
for
let me
all
get
of
there real
freaking
quick. Let me get
Biden's
there.
go
Let's
ahead,
get
sorry,
back to that. I'm going to interrupt you real quick. I want to
go ahead.
finish off on this last piece, and then we're going to get back because it does tie in to all of this. So Switzerland did something different. They added an extra layer of protection on in 2023, and it's now very much coming to play. It's the um, Jesus. It's the Federal Act on Data Protection, and it means that you own your data.
Right.
Basically, you have to explicitly give permission to use certain data. That's how it should be. We don't have those laws. So this goes into where we are is any law that we had or any protection that we had, like you were saying, that Biden put into place, they're getting repealed. They don't want
Right.
them. They don't want any data protection laws or around these. They want to loosen up the regulations on banking and finance. They want to make
Did you
it
see the
easier.
401k? He signed an executive order yesterday that
I'm about
basically
to take all my money out of 401ks.
they incentivized the investment of 401ks out of like mutual funds and effectively into crypto and
Of
private
course they
companies.
did.
So now basically I said this yesterday because I did a live and I called it basically tackling today, where we went to
Mhm.
Routers and Al Jazeera and we just went
Yeah.
through the headlines and we talked. I was like, this is my gut. And I saw that and I was like, I knew they were eventually going to come for our 401ks, right? Like they
Hmm.
want to take everything.
They want to
And they're going to
consolidate
take
all
that
of our
too,
wealth.
all of our wealth. And what they're going to do is they're going to pressure these companies to put all of your 401k into SpaceX or into OpenAI, right? That's what
Hmm.
they're going to do. And it's going to inflate their wealth. So honestly, I will say to you right now, just as it's important, take a hard look at your 401k and you should decide whether you want to take the penalty or risk it, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
because that's where it's going. So I'm young.
I
I don't
I
have a lot
won't
of
disagree with that. I won't disagree with that as someone who's slightly older, like who has a 401k.
yeah.
Because I've worked at companies and I have money invested from it. It's not as good as a pension. Like I would much rather have a pension than a fucking 401k, because then that would have is guaranteed money. But a pension requires the government, and the government ain't going to do that right now because our government is actually actively trying to hurt people instead of help people. So somebody said it in the comment earlier, or in our chat earlier, is when the government is afraid of the people, you have democracy. When people are afraid of the government, you have tyranny. Well, that's what we got. We got tyranny. We got fascism here because people are afraid of the government and what they're doing with it. We're going to tie this all back to what our original topic was the homeless
Yeah,
shit that's going on in DC, because like we said, that's a test case for what's about to happen in other places. There's already reporting that they want to do it in New York City and that they're going to do it in New York City. Do you know what the next step from there is, like, on talking about, and this is not, I'm not trying to make people afraid. If you're not afraid already and you haven't focused that fear into like
action.
meaningful action, like this is meaningful action. Shane and I talking is meaningful action because it's getting you all engaged more too, but it's also keeping us engaged and ensuring we know what's going on. Is if you're not angry already, you fucking should be. Like, they're coming to New York City. That's the next step. And he's already said, and when I say he, I mean Donald Trump has already said he wants to deport Zohran Mamdani. He wants to report, he wants to deport and denaturalize from his citizenship Zohran Mamdani. He wants to, like, strip him of being a citizen and send him out of the country. If he takes over New York and is able to ensure that, say, Flock security and their cameras are everywhere, and Palantir and its systems in DHS are integrated everywhere, which, oh, by the way, they are, and they don't have to fall under Posse Comitatus Act. They don't have to fall under any of the escalation policies normally attributed to the DoD because they're not part of the DoD. DHS is part of an internal policing and security service and monitoring service. It's the Department of Homeland Security, so they get to do everything they want in the homeland pretty much unchecked. Um, Thank you, Bush,
And
for that. And
I want to
thanks
add
everybody
something
else for keeping
because,
that. Yeah.
yeah, here's my fear. So my fiance has autism.
Mhm.
The deadline for the cause of autism is coming up here in September.
Yeah, in about a month.
And they built that database. It
Hmm.
exists. I am very scared, and I genuinely am at the point where I don't know if, like, we need to leave, because what we're
No.
seeing is like, um they have that database
Hmm.
and they know where she is. They have Flock, they have her license plate. There is no, we've seen that they can do this. So I will
Yes.
never stop speaking out. But what I have to say is I need to think about her safety, and
Yes.
that. So I'm not there yet, but I'm very closely watching this because
Hmm.
if the escalation occurs, we need to be ready to make sure that everyone in my family is safe. Full stop.
Yes.
Right. So,
Yes. So to your point, because you sort of implicitly asked it, is should we leave? When do we leave? Do I need to leave? Is that's a deeply personal question that you have to, and people in our stat and our subscriber bases, like, you have to make that decision yourself, is if you want to leave or if you feel like you need to leave from where you are. Like, if you do and you're able to, then maybe you should. There are safer
yeah, it's up
places
to
within
you.
the US that you could go live. There are safer places outside. The thing is, don't leave if you can. Don't leave the US because that's what they want. I was
Yes.
talking about it this morning, about parenting, with
Yeah.
Dana Dubois and my friend Soso, who's a psychologist. And my point on it is, from a political side, you can't leave. Like, we can't abandon areas, specifically red areas. Like, I live in Arkansas. I live in a very, what would be considered a fairly conservative area in general. It's not really conservative. It's progressive with bad ideas. Um, it's libertarian is more what I would say. So progressive with bad ideas because they don't like taxes, whereas taxes work, and they're useful. Um, but the thing is, like, if we abandon these areas, they get worse and they go faster into autocracy. Like,
Yeah.
if you can stay, build your community. That's the way
Yes.
that we build safety. Isn't by
And
fleeing, it's by identifying ourselves, who is safe near us, and really establishing a safety net in a communal
right,
area or backstops. Like if Shane say we're need to have an exit strategy. Let's say this because exit strategies are real things. Like you
right.
should have a go bag. As a
Yes.
prepared adult, you should have a go bag. If you have children, you should have a go bag for your children too. What is a go bag? It's a bag that has about a week's worth of clothes and some canned foods and things in a prepped bag that go, you take it, you leave everything else behind, and it's got enough that you and whoever's with you. So each person has their own bag. So if your child is big enough to carry a backpack, they get their own small backpack that fits them that has some of their stuff in it. It's stuff that they take with them that if you have to leave, you take it. Everything else stays. You go.
Yeah. I,
But you have to have a strategy of where you go. And that's where our communities come in. Like, where does Shane and his fiance go? Where do they go? It's fiance, right? Or
yeah.
girlfriend? Fiance. Where do you go? Like, that's a
Right.
real tough question is what happens if you need to go and how soon do you need to get there? Well, we're here to talk about like build those, find those now and do that before it's necessary because it's better to have a plan and not need it than not
Yeah.
have a plan and be stuck without one.
Yeah, we have go bags, right? So we have those things in place. Like we could get in the car and go, right? And we recognized that a long time ago when they announced the database. And I want to hammer that if it were just me, I wouldn't leave because it's not me. It's about my fiance. So it's about being prepared to take care of those people. But I do want to hammer Nick's point. If we leave, they get um, what they want. They
Mhm.
get what they want. They want people who are against this to run away and not stand in the way of fascism. And we can't do that. Um, and that's the last resort. But it's important, like all of us now, to understand that there might be a last resort, and that as our community, we might need to have a plan as a community to take care of each other outside of the norms that we would expect. There's a
Yes.
couple things that I think, in the spirit of mass surveillance, that we can do, and I've thought about this. Number one, if you go out in public, start wearing a mask, right? They've got facial recognition software. One, it's symbolic. If they see you wearing a mask going out, it's kind of a symbol of unity. It means you understand. It means and it shows that you're not going to just give them your face like that. Um, I think that's something that is important. Like after seeing these cameras, like unfortunately, like I think I'm going to start wearing a mask in public. It might not fix everything, but it will certainly help. It'll certainly help make their lives harder, right? And that's what it's all about. It's about us finding simple acts of resistance. I say this all the time. Start using cash. They're tracking your bank statements, they're tracking your cards. Go take out $100 of cash. And when you go to the gas station, pay for your gas in cash. If you're going to get a drink, pay for it in cash, right? Because then they can't link your gas stop to your they're going to aggregate every single thing. So anything you can do to throw a wrench in that system, compiling your whereabouts and your data, you need to start doing for your own safety, right? And that's where there's things we can do, because all of this is built on a system of compliance. They're counting on us to want to tap because we've been trained to have zero patience at all.
Hmm.
And if you tap, it's easier. You don't want to carry around cash. There is very, very, very simple ways that actually make this much harder for them. And it's because we've been trained for years under the guise of ease to embrace these things that are very trackable and very easy. for them to all integrate. And I do think that with crypto and all of this, I do, and I think they are trying to phase out cash. Why? Because it's untraceable, and it's always been untraceable. That's one of the great things about cash. It's a sense of privacy. Are you all good over there, Nick?
No, give me that. I'm disconnected.
Okay, I hear you.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, so
Bluetooth went
yeah,
all a wire.
it's all good. But yeah, Nick, what do you kind of think about that? Like, what are your thoughts on those things I just shared?
Yeah, I think no, I think it's a good idea in terms of like minimizing your footprint in a tech world. It's really hard. That's really what you're trying to do right now. And it's not anti-tech. Like I
Mm-mm.
love tech. I love the technology I
Yes.
have. I love the simplicity of things that have come out of it, but it's minimizing your extraneous tech impact, like what else they can collect from you without your knowledge or participation or acceptance. Like wearing a mask, like Shane said, simple act of defiance, but and rebellion, but also a simple way of saying, no, you can't track exactly everything about me. Maybe you can get parts of my facial data, but you can't get the whole, and you can't get it at all times. Things like, yeah, paying for gas in cash, or even just paying for the little things extra from gas. Like only let them know that you bought gas at a grocery store instead of food. Like that's a small piece of metadata that just can be disappeared. I also shared a link in the chat, which was for a site called Delete Me,
Yes.
where they go around and they basically do a web scrape, um, and they delete as much of your personal and PII and identifying information or other things that are out on the internet. It can be, from what I know, it's not cheap.
No.
It but it's worth it, is from what
Yep.
I've heard. There are discounts that are available. I don't have any. I don't make any money from them. I'm too small of a channel to do things like that. But I know Midas Touch does. I think the Legal AF folks do. So if they still have any discounts available, see if you can try and find those.
Yeah.
Because Delete Me helps. It gets your data off the internet, and it shrinks your footprint. And that's really what you want to try and do in a time when in Big Brother, like Shane picked it up in the very beginning. It's all the books and the movies that we watched growing up about 1984, Fahrenheit 451. We get into
The pleasure to
RoboCop,
burn.
um, Judge Dredd, or the new Dredd movie, or even Elysium. Like we've talked about Elysium
Yeah.
before, is that's really what I think is their goal. It's about separating themselves from us in a very tangible way, not just with wealth, but with actual separation of distance between us. Is they don't want to be anywhere near the pores, and we're all the pores that upset them, and they don't give a fuck what happens to us in the end. Um, but in this time right now, it's about minimizing your footprint, because that also slows them down. It's
Yes.
minimizing your footprint on things that you don't want out there, and it's maximizing your footprint on things you do. Like I maximize my footprint on the internet right now in a way that I never have before. Like I'm out here, I've like my show has picked up tons of followers really fast because I'm just putting myself out here. I'm making myself visible and getting myself out there so others see me, because I'd rather my footprint be something that I make and choose to put out there rather than what they make. And that way, when it comes time, if they ever come knocking at my door, I can go, meh, too bad. This vet says no. This vet's footprint is out there, and is exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm going to push back in every way I can
Yeah.
against these people, because it's
And we're
wrong. It's
white men,
destructive.
right? That's really
Yeah.
important to state that as well. Is we are white
Hmm.
men. We are the hardest people for them to attack, right? They're gonna go, and it's important that if you're a white man right now, a cis white man, you got to step up. You got to, because they are we are the people they want on top, and we need to
Hmm.
refuse to engage in that kind of behavior because it's pathetic, despicable, and it's the most, weak and pathetic thing that one could ever really want, is to put themselves above other people on the basis of their own insecurities, that they need to be some sort of alpha individual. I mean, look at Stephen Miller, look at Russell Vought. They're weak, pathetic people. They clearly have no self-confidence, and they need to have their money. Look at Peter Thiel. These are all people who are ashamed of themselves and need their money and their power to even have a semblance of self-worth. And they're using their white manness to elevate themselves. And they knew that if they're already weak and pathetic, they just need money and the color of their skin. And that's their only value that they have within themselves. And that's why, again, if you are a white man, if you're at a protest, you stand in the front. Okay. That's what it is we have an obligation as citizens of this country, as white men who believe in freedom, liberty, privacy, and the Constitution, to do what is right. Because if we don't, they will take everyone else and leave us. And that is not a world that I am willing to live in. I don't believe in that. And you shouldn't either. If you're an American, that is not what it means to be American.
Especially, I'm going to build on that even more, especially because the Constitution was framed and built for white men, for rich white men to take advantage of. So if you're two of those three things, if you're white and a man, you got two of the three things the Constitution was going for, which means you're already ahead of 98% of the population base. Like you're ahead of everybody else except for one other group, which is if you're white, male, and a veteran, you better be fucking standing up and saying something.
Yeah.
If you're a veteran, we talk about leading from the front and service after service. Well, lead. Fucking stand up and say something. If you are a veteran and you are white and you are a man and you are not talking about how all of this is anti-constitutional, not unconstitutional, it's anti-constitutional. And I'm going to change the way we talk about this. And I want to ask your opinion on this because you've studied words and meaning and what they mean to use certain words. And I want to see what your thoughts are on why I'm saying anti versus unconstitutional, because unconstitutional means that you are within the bounds and framework of the Constitution and you're trying to bend it. You're trying to, within the guardrails, in a sense, all unconstitutional acts at least are within the bounds of the Constitution is the framework we're working off of. Anti-constitutional means you're doing to destroy. You're destroying it. You don't want the Constitution. You don't think of it as a framework that's useful, so you're gone beyond it. And you've moved past it and you don't think it's a key element. And if you ask Republicans who are very MAGA, they think the Constitution is in the way. And so they're anti-constitutionalists. So I want to get your opinion on that before I go on.
I think one, you really did a really good job of framing that. Two, I think it gives us a good in back to the core of Palantalk, which is, what is the Dark Enlightenment? Right? The Dark Enlightenment, the neo-reactionary movement, okay? These are the guys, is Curtis Yarvin. It's all built around the idea that democracy sucks. They hate it. It doesn't work, and everyone should be managed like a business. Everyone should be treated like an employee, that the corporate CEOs should rule the country, and the world is for profit, and people are a resource. Okay, so when we are talking, the Constitution is built, one of the core things, habeas corpus, right? It's control of your body, yourself. And the neo-reactionary movement is anti-constitutional. When you say, to your point, something is it means it goes against, but it's going against. Going against something does not mean that it is per se destroying it. It's maybe going against the grain of what it means, but the neo-reactionary movement is anti-constitutional. It is an entirely different form of governance. It is a world of slavery. It is slavery. It is a caste system. And words
It's
matter. Words
neo-feudalism.
matter. It's a caste system. You have the poors. They want to be lords and they want you to be a serf. That is anti-constitutional because you can't have slaves. We amended the Constitution so that you can't have slaves, and they want them back. That is anti-constitutional. It is entirely in opposition of the Constitution. And this is one of those things where I saw a video. And do you know who Adam Mockler is? He's a young guy. He's on.
Yeah.
So I think he's great. Well, this was a couple weeks ago, but he went on CNN and they had him talking to Kevin O'Leary. And Kevin O'Leary was just freaking, he's a Shark Tank idiot, another pathetic, weak white man who uses his money to inflate his ego. But he was kept going, and Adam Mockler is pushing back on him. But CNN puts these people there. And one of the people on the panel that was pro-MAGA was an Asian woman. Okay. And she's a talking head spouting this crap. And I talked about this yesterday. It's about minimizing your footprint. It's about minimizing control. If you want information, go to Al Jazeera, go to Reuters, go to Associated Press. Do not engage with corporate media.
Go to BBC.
Well, the BBC sometimes, because it is, the UK is in dire straits right now. They are like,
yes, but it's still much more democratic than we are.
Yes, I agree.
For a monarchy, it's much more democratic than we are.
When you have 3 options that are wire networks, then I would, and they're great. They give you exactly what you need to know. And guess what? With a wire, reporting, you make your own opinion. That's the beauty of it. You interpret it. They are not interpreting for you. It's a big part of techno-fascism. It's a big part of authoritarianism. They need to do the interpreting for you to keep you submissive so that you do not resist. Why are they attacking our government data reporting institutions? The Bureau of Labor Statistics, Housing and Urban Development, NOAA. Why are they destroying the satellites?
National Labor Relations Board.
Right. Why? Because they need to control the entire narrative. And make no mistake, CNN is complicit because they give Kevin O'Leary, they give this woman a platform to normalize like they are some sort of opposition party. They are not arguing for something unconstitutional. They are arguing for something anti-constitutional. Palantir is an anti-constitutional organization designed for suppression, surveillance, and manipulation. And that's they're a core
Trump
part
even
of that.
said it. Trump even said it today. He said it today. From what I heard, I won't. This is not a direct quote, at least my reading of it, because I'm not reading it out from somebody else. But there was a quote that came out today that was fairly close to, "I don't need to legislate. I just do it." That is what a dictator does. That is what an authoritarian does. They don't need to legislate. He thinks of himself as a monarch, as a god, as the king of America, as the ruler of the US, whatever he wants to call himself, as the Doge King, as the fucking giant testicle who's in charge of our country, because he sucks and he's just soft and weak. And that's the thing I think and one of the big things is, like, going back to it, is they're weak men who are just spouting their insecurities as strength, and that's not strength. So part of this too is like calling out our own and confronting it head on and saying that's not strength, that's what weakness looks like. Strength is what we're doing. We're not telling you guys what to think. We're not trying to tell you what to think and what to do and how you need to go about living and what you need to do within your life specifically. What we are trying to do is help you see that there are tools you can do to minimize your own footprint. There's tools you can do to protect yourself. We're trying to help prepare you. We're not reading off the news and all the topics of the day, but they are important because they lead into our conversation. But what we're trying to help you guys do is is ask questions. Like Shane's whole thing, from what I've gotten out of his whole thing as a third party person in the whole Firebrand project, is you pick up that torch and you run with it. You ask questions. You lead the charge. You're the one who is out front, who is holding the torch and the firebrand for others to follow. That's what it means to ask questions and not submit. Like, we're asking questions so that y'all can ask questions and build community. Like, build your community strong and start asking questions now. Ask your neighbors what they think about these things. Be direct. The time for gentle Americans and the passive left is way past. Like, if you're not part of the fuck you left yet, get there. If you're on your way to the fuck you left and you just want to be like F you left so you can be a little bit more PC, maybe join like the slightly less fuck you left. Like, you still got to be part of it. Like, now is not a time to be passive about these things, because the more we talk about it, the less that they have control over us. And that's the human factor in all of this, is the key part that they cannot control. We put out content, we put ourselves out there, but if you can get other people who look like us, white people, calling you out, again, we're calling ourselves out here because we need to lead the charge, is white people, it's our time to say no to this shit and don't participate in it. Don't make it easier. So use less of your data. Pull your data back, make your data private, use cash if you can. If you can. If you can't, I understand. Like, that's where we are. Do not invest in crypto. Whatever you do, do not invest in cryptocurrencies. If you have crypto, get the fuck out of them. Unless you made the damn crypto, get out of crypto. Like, it's bad. It's not safe for you right now, because that is something that you don't really have control over. They'll lock
And
it.
you're saying
They
that,
lock it.
and to your point with crypto, like I said in the beginning, you look at your 401k, because if they put your
Hmm.
401k into crypto, you're screwed, guys. You're screwed. And it's
Yeah.
like they want to scare you, right? This is all part of it. Well, you'll get it penalized if you take it out. Well, do you want to be penalized or have nothing? Right?
Mhm.
Like genuinely, like, and you said something. There was that. I just want to throw that in there. But you talked about how the
No, I
Firebrand
like
Project is
that.
about asking questions. So I want to talk about one of my favorite things ever, and I'm sure you're familiar with the allegory of the cave.
Hmm.
If you
I actually
take a
very
step
am.
back right now and you look at our world, one of the first things I
Hmm.
wrote about was the allegory of the cave. We're living in the allegory of the cave. We are looking at the shadows being cast by the fire. That is what we are seeing. That's what your screen is. That's what the corporate media is, guys. They built this fire, and they're using corporate media to project the normalization on the wall. And we don't even know we're in chains. And the crazy thing is, and that's why I love the allegory of the cave, is once you step outside, the world is incredible. And the possibilities are endless, and you have
Yes.
no idea how little you have. We don't really appreciate the entire lack of economic mobility that we have, because they've told us that it's economic freedom. That's the shadow they've cast on the wall, is that debt is wealth, is that taking out a mortgage to buy your home is success, that buying your car and making a payment every month is the smart thing to do. They've showed us the shadows, and we have embraced them, and we have not taken a moment to look at our shackles. That's what me and Nick are doing, and that is the Firebrand Project. It is looking at our shackles, looking down and seeing that we are shackled and that we don't
Hmm.
need to be, and that those shackles are arbitrary. And unlike in the analogy, we have the power to get up, turn around, and leave. Like, it's that
Yep.
easy. It really is that easy, because the prison we're in is in our head. The fear that has been built around us, around these financial systems, is in our head. At the end of the day, you don't need to go to a mechanic shop to fix your car. You don't need to go to Discount Tire. I guarantee you, someone could come over. I know that they've got a freaking impact gun. They can help you rotate your tires. Okay. They know
Harder.
how to
Trade
fix
with your
the engine.
friends.
Like, or like there is an abundance of things that we've been trained to spend because we are supposed to, because that's what being American is. And it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Being American is being free and believing in liberty and believing that I believe in the words of the Constitution, but Thomas Jefferson owned slaves. Okay. So let's be very honest with ourselves. The
Yeah.
Constitution was an idea. But the beautiful thing about ideas is they are up to us to interpret, and they are up to us to evolve. And the one thing about the Constitution that was good is it was built to be a living document. And we chose to sit there in our shackles and play with the shadows that were cast on the wall. Like, and we don't have to. That's the
No.
incredible part. Like there is literally so many simple things we can do. Like, everyone take out your 4, if everyone takes out their 401k money, okay? Yeah, we take a penalty. They want us to be scared. Guess what? That's a lot of money they use to make money. It hurts them. They are more afraid of us ceasing to participate than they are of us. All of their power is dependent on participation. It's dependent on us believing what we're seeing. And that's why the internet is incredible and it can be used for a platform like this. But the part of the internet they use, those are the shadows on the wall. And they have framed those shadows as progress, and they are not. And that's where we can, change that. If they're going to surveil us, fine. How about we all look at the camera and flip it off every time you walk by with your mask on? Okay. That's what I do, because, all right, you're watching me, assholes. I'm watching you. I know what you're doing. Like, be
Yeah.
defiant. Don't be afraid. Be defiant. Don't be afraid. It's our choice, and it's okay to be afraid. But if you're using that fear, fuel your defiance with it. Do not allow it to, don't let us telling you you're being surveilled make you stay in your home. Instead,
Mm-hmm.
listen to our tools we're providing you, use them, and share them. And
Yeah, do the
then,
change, do the shift in behavior that protects you without forcing you to isolate. They want us to stop going out. They want us to be afraid of everything. Fear is the motivating factor. Like, fear is the factor that they live on and that we can get around. The only what is it? The only thing to fear is fear
fear
itself.
itself.
Well, let's stop being afraid of fear, because the what courage is, and we've forgotten what bravery and courage looks like in even in a modern age. Like, you can be brave and courage without having to put your life on the line. Bravery is just acting with fear still there. Bravery is just doing the thing that you know is right, even when you're afraid. Small acts of bravery are bravery. Small acts of courage are courage, because you're doing it. You're taking the step to do it. And every time you take that step, you make space for others to do it too. And if you use your privilege to its fullest extent, I don't care if you don't have very much. If you look white and you are white, you have more privilege than other people. Start accepting that fact and stop being afraid of it. I'm not afraid that I have white privilege. I'm not mad that I have white privilege. I'm mad that other people don't also, that they don't have the same privilege, where I don't have to have white privilege, where it can just be we all have equal privilege. Like, that's where I want us to get to, but we're not there. So if you have white privilege, fucking own it. Own your privilege to make space for others to be able to join in the conversation and ask questions. Do what Shane said, ask questions. Be local. Find your neighbor. You know a friend works at the tire shop. You know a friend who works on computers. You know friends. You have friends. You know people who just do all of the things you need. Build your community strong by foundational roots of self-care. Those that care is building each other, is using each other. Barter with your friends. trade with your friends for new cool things. Like if they can fix your tires and you can fix a computer and they need help, well, fucking offer, hey, I know you're having this issue. Let me help you. Can you fix my car or do something like this? I know you've got the tools. And if you have the thing that you can bring to them to make it easy so that all they have to do is do the fix, that's a win, because then you build your community. You've given them something, they've given you something. Maybe you've made a new friend in the process, and maybe they were that MAGA neighbor who just needed a friend who reached out to them and was like, hey, man, I know you're struggling too. I'd like to help you out, brother. Like, just as an equal. Don't laud your privilege over people. Use it to equalize yourself with them.
Yeah. I like that you said helping your MAGA friend, because I wrote a post the other day, and I do these brutally honest messages, right? That's my whole thing. Is I'm not
I
I
like your
have no
brutally honest messages too.
I'm not gonna go and sugarcoat it for you. Like when I write to you guys, like I'm just gonna give it to you straight, and it's how I see it, right? I'm shamelessly telling you it's how I see it. And what I wrote about recently, it's my most recent one. It's it's about reunion and the vertical war. And at the end of the day, if you have a neighbor who's MAGA, they probably can't afford the groceries too. So instead of saying, damn it, Trump, say the freaking oligarchs in the government are making it so I can't afford to eat. If you say the name, if you bring up the division, it'll be a problem, but you don't need to, because it's all so horrific and horrible and everyone is suffering. It doesn't matter anymore. This war is vertical. We are living through Elysium. They want to go to space and leave us in squalor on the planet. Why? Because they're a bunch of techno-fascist nerds and they liked the movie and they want
Yep.
to build a space station in space. That's super cool. Why? I actually think they might want a nuclear power plant on the moon so they can power all their shit up there so that they can build their freaking new rich people society on the moon and mine the earth to death and take all of its resources and create some beautiful utopia on the moon. Okay, they're that crazy. They are really that crazy. They are insane, sociopathic narcissists, and that is created by wealth. It is a product of wealth. It's a product of the capitalist society that has been created. These people just they are entirely. It's honestly like a subform of environmental evolution. You've created like a entire psychological state of being that is entirely different from normal people. Like it's the idea of like Ramses in 300, right? He walks around covered in gold. He calls himself a god. When his face is cut by Leonidas, it's the most horrific thing that's ever happened to him because he is perfect. That is actually how they view themselves, right? Why is Trump a pedophile who just assaults children and doesn't give a shit? Because they are dirt. They are dirt
because
to him.
He can.
And yeah, they're dirt and they're a means for him to pleasure himself. He has no emotional regrets whatsoever because he's entitled to whatever he wants. This is no different than these guys from South Africa that came here, lived the American dream, and then decided to take it away from everyone else, because that's just it's a psychological result of a system. And it goes back to the allegory of the cave. They want us to think that their system is the only system, and it's time for us to get up and walk out. And I think the last thing, because I want all of you to go and look up the neo-reactionary movement and the Dark Enlightenment and understand.
I dropped a link for it too in the chat earlier.
So that is what we are facing. We are not facing Republicans. We are not facing another party. We are facing an entire rebrand of the country, and they intend to rip up the Constitution, light it on fire, and then piss on it, and then dance on their podium they've built, because the Constitution doesn't mesh with this movement they're doing. The two are not. They can't exist in the same room, right? And
they're
you know what? We can exist.
anti-constitutionalists.
Yeah, we can exist in the same room with someone who probably got manipulated by algorithmic echo chambers and socioeconomic isolation, that ended up falling in the MAGA trap. I will always say there's straight up Nazis, there's straight up pieces of crap that will use this system to put themselves above others because they care nothing about the majority of people who ended up falling into that trap. What happened is they took a little bit of the bait, the algorithm found them, and it flooded their zone, and it brainwashes people. I had someone comment on my post. They said, well, these MAGA people, they don't care. They don't want any of these things. They don't want UBI. They don't want healthcare. I think you're wrong. I think they do want to have money. I think they do want to be healthy. And I think they've been convinced, one, that the people that are telling them how they're going to get it is how they're going to get it. And also they've been convinced and wired for cognitive dissonance. And that is the people who choose to wear their shackles because they have been manipulated. That's the dark side of the internet. It's the part that no one was expecting. It's the part that we always fail to accept our own nature. That is history. The adage, history will always repeat itself. It's our fault because we choose not to look back and understand ourselves. That's the core of the Firebrand Project, right? It's about us. It's us. We are the solution and we are the problem because we are effectively the masters of our own destiny. We've always been the masters of our own destiny, and we've been convinced that we are not, that if we don't play ball, that we are not going to be successful. But at the end of the day, that's never been true. But we're living in a time now where it's going to be exceptionally scary to embrace that because the norms have been built high. The walls are seemingly very tall. But the whole thing about this and the whole thing about the MAGA cult is if you pull a brick, it all falls down. And guess what? The reason they're just abandoning their base is because they don't think they need them anymore. They don't think they need them. They don't care if they're poor. They don't give a shit because they don't need them anymore. Because they have.
But do you know who does? We
us.
do. We need them. We need them because they're our neighbors, they're our friends, they're our family. We need them. They're our communities. You know what happens when somebody discards another person? They get mad. I don't know about you, but I think you've noticed there's a tide in the MAGA folks is they're mad, but they're not mad at us. They're not mad at us anymore because Trump told them the truth. He told them they were worthless and they were dirt, just like you were saying, that they are dirt beneath their feet. And that I don't call them oligarchs, I call them robber barons because that's an American thing. They're American robber barons. They're robbing us blind, and that's what the robber barons did. The one thing the robber barons did differently in their time previously was they actually built good things, like good works in the end. These people aren't right now. Like they're not doing good things. They're doing all evil because they don't have a positive intent. Whereas the robber barons at least had an American intent in mind and they had a framework they wanted to stay around, which was the Constitution. These people don't want that. And it leads to the idea of Elysium. And I'm going to wrap up our conversation on Palantalk because I'm going to do something really fun in the background when we do this shift. You were talking about Elysium and the idea of that separation, we keep bringing up this movie because we both seem to really like it, and it has a really good parallel
movie. It was a really good movie.
It's a great movie. It's a great
so
movie,
good.
and it actually leads me to the question that I want to talk about for our space portion. So if you haven't been here yet for Palantalk, we always end it on we're now ending it on a slightly different note. We go from the techno-fascism to the techno without the fascism because Shane and I both are huge fans of space and we want to spread that joy too. And part of rebelling is spreading joy and spreading something different and not giving into the depression and the darkness. So we're going to talk about space and we're going to go
space,
boldly.
Right? Let's leave.
We're going to go
Let's just
boldly into this new background. And I want to ask you because my topic for the day, what is your favorite type of exosuit or like armor set that you've seen from like a space either movie or video game specifically?
All right. Well, the I this is something about me. If you look over my shoulder, you're like, "What is that?" Okay. Well, I am a huge fan of something called Warhammer. Okay, it takes place in the grim dark future, and it is basically the end of humanity, but it's all different now. It's basically like where we're going. It's kind of where we're going.
Kinda.
It's except it's like 40,000 years in the future, but there's something called Space Marines, and they're really rocking. They're 8 foot tall. They're huge. Their rifles shoot little missiles. And they've got these big old power packs on their back. And they just it's so steampunk, like it's super rocking. And I absolutely love the aesthetic of kind of the bulky got it's like almost like a knight, right? They've got those heavy
Hmm.
pauldrons and the greaves and the gauntlets. That fusion of that my love of medieval history and space. um and I absolutely love it. I think that it's just reminiscent enough of the things we have here, but also like different. And I love it. I think it's really cool. So if you're interested in looking at what that looks like, just look up Space Marine, Warhammer Space Marine. And they're freaking rocking. This is for the Ultramarines, so it's the Omega, but that's their
So,
sigil.
so if you want the original of those, actually, I don't know if Warhammer's older than this, but I don't think it is. I'll go with the StarCraft Terran Marines, specifically the snipers, though. One because Kerrigan, she was the main female character in the story.
Oh yeah,
And
oh
she was a
yeah,
sniper
yep.
and a fucking psyop. Like she was psychic and she'll shoot the shit out of you from far away. And I always wanted to like just hang out with her and just sit there and just fucking just wait and then just kill a Zerg or like and then she got taken. But I always wanted like the armor because their suit is super cool because they can go fully cloaked and just sit there and lay down and just not do anything. It's slim. It's slimmer than the normal marine armor, which is very Warhammer style. It's the big bulky paladin look,
Yeah,
almost
yep.
like but I loved the sniper for that because it was so fun.
But
Did you play StarCraft?
I think it was before my time. I'm too young, right? I'm 25 for those of you guys who do know. So, but I did look it up. This is badass. What I will say is I have to then before that though, I have to go to the roots of what made me love space, and it was
Okay.
Star Wars. Star Wars.
Okay. Yeah.
I idolized clone troopers as a kid. They I wanted to be a clone trooper because they uh you know and
Mm.
you got the stormtroopers there.
Sort of like this
um
guy.
the phase 2 Star Wars clone troopers. So that's I
Hmm.
believe that is a that's movie 6. That's the that's not 6, that's 7.
This one?
um yeah,
Oh,
that's
from the newer series.
the newer ones.
Um,
So yeah, my love was actually there was an animated show called Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and it doesn't even matter if you're like 100 years old or 15 years old. It was literally the best Star Wars show ever because they
oh
took
yeah.
that space between the Phantom Menace and or sorry between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and they just blew it up because it was
Hmm.
multiple years. And my whole love and obsession with the clone troopers was always that they were so noble and they were individuals, right? The
Yep.
stormtroopers, they weren't. They were ICE agents, right? Like they
Hmm.
did what they were told, but the clone troopers were different. They decorated their armor. They believed in what they were doing. They were fighting for the Republic. And despite the fact that they were all the same, they strove to be unique and different. They all named themselves. And I just thought that, like, I idolized that. And I think it's made a lot of who I am is like, I respect that. Like, I love the honor and the nobility and the sacrifice that they were willing to, put down for what they believed in. And it's like my problem with Star Wars has always been I am so sad when I watch Revenge of
Hmm.
the Sith that it like hurts me to watch 4 through 6 because I'm like, God, the Republic was so good. Like they killed all the Jedi. Like I cried when I watched Revenge of the Sith the first time because I'm like watching all my favorite Jedi die. And I'm like, this is so horrible. Like,
So
why?
did you watch the movies in order of 1 through 6, or did you do it the original order of
I
four,
did it the
five, six,
original
one,
way.
two, three? Okay. Okay, because I
Which
know a
is
lot there's various philosophies on how we should be watching these movies. And if you're a Star Wars fan, watch them however the fuck you want. Like,
yeah.
just
I always
the last
say
three are kind of different, and they're like they're okay. I like them. I love the stylistic choices and like the lightsaber battles and the fights, but I don't like the storyline because they tried to be too much of 4, 5, and 6 again. But I get it. Like the Clone Wars, best show, hands down, best
it's
animated,
the best
especially
thing.
animated
George
show.
Lucas, Dave Filoni is Star Wars. Like I truly
Hmm.
believe that. Like he is the beating heart of Star Wars. Like Dave Filoni wrote that whole show. And when they canceled it because Disney bought that, like this goes, my hatred of Disney goes all the way back to when they bought LucasArts and they canceled my favorite show as a kid. Like I have
Yeah,
beef because it took them like 5 years to finish the last season. And especially if you watch that show, you have so much understanding and empathy for Anakin and when he
yeah.
becomes Vader. And but that's why I had a problem with the last 3 movies,
What
mind you,
was
because
okay?
they
Okay,
undermined his sacrifice.
yeah,
He took him and he jumped off, and you're like, he finally redeemed himself. And then Palpatine's just there, and you're like, are you
yeah,
kidding me? Are you
yeah.
absolutely kidding me? Like, that's the
I
whole
was
plot.
so mad about that.
It's the
I was
whole
so mad
plot
at
is
like
Anakin
there were
redeeming
so
himself.
many other bad guys too. Like they
I
could have
know.
added new Force bad guys. There are like they took my beef with Disney is they bought all of this stuff and then they took the expanded universe and all the books that I read growing up and they said, yeah, that's not part of the universe anymore. And I was like, no, the fuck you. Like you
Are
don't
you a
get to tell
canon
me
nerd?
what's part of the
Are you like
am I a
big on
canon
canon?
nerd?
Yeah,
Oh
like
yeah.
like
I
the
read the books as a kid. Like
yeah,
I read the Star Wars series.
yeah,
I like the new movies pissed me off almost more so because they just skipped all of the parts of Luke's adult life where he was a Jedi and he was married and he had kids
yeah,
and Han and Leia and their kids and how that fucked up the whole universe with all of them having kids and yeah, bad shit happened. But like I was so mad when they got rid of it and then I was like, you know what? Disney doesn't get to tell me what I like and don't like about Star Wars, so fuck them.
yeah.
And
Yep.
I'm glad they brought some of it back because you're right. Like
Rogue
David
One
Filoni
was the only
is
movie I really think that they nailed. I think Rogue One was the best Star Wars that came out of Disney. They did a good
it's
job.
hurt so hard to watch. It's so hard to watch that movie.
It's hard. It's
It's
about
so hard to
sacrifice.
watch. It's so hard to watch too, especially because you watch that and you're like, everybody's gonna die at the end. I
Yep.
already know the ending, and
Yep.
they all die,
Yep.
and they do, and you're like, oh my God, I hate this. And then and then they started Andor, and then I got rid of my Disney stuff, so I can't watch it. But then I see clips of it, like where they're actually returning to the true essence of Star Wars, which is it's a political show. Like if people don't know this about Star Wars yet at this point, you're living under the rock of the people who think that the Empire was the good guy.
It's the
Um,
death of democracy.
yeah, it's literally a parable of the death of democracy and the rise of
It
fascism
was
and
based on the
autocracy. And
Republic.
yeah, like we're seeing what the rise of the empire looked like. Um, and we don't want that. We can stop Palpatine. Like, we don't have
Yeah,
to
we
live
can. We can
through,
stop Palpatine. I mean, they're
like,
just as
he's just
ugly.
a,
He's just as ugly
yeah,
as
he
Palpatine.
looks like Palpatine after he did the Force lightning thing too, and he's like,
I love
unlimited
Mace Windu was my favorite
power.
Jedi. He was my favorite Jedi. Why? Because
Mhm.
he was different. And you know
He
the
had a purple
irony is
fucking
that
lightsaber.
he literally, I think it was what's the name of the guy? Samuel L. Jackson, right?
Hmm.
He was like, I want a different color lightsaber. That's the only reason
Yeah,
his lightsaber was purple. But
yeah.
people loved it. People loved it.
Hmm.
And I loved it. And when he died, I literally went and I like read every conspiracy theory on how he lived. And I just couldn't find one that was like, I'm like, he
No,
didn't live. And it just
no, he
sucked.
didn't.
But the original Star Wars The Clone Wars animations, not the Star Wars The Clone Wars TV show, but the first one, the 2000 and 2001, those are actually the best like representation in my opinion of like the Clone Wars as a whole. They just nailed it, right? But I guess like I like what you said about Star Wars being, it's a story. And I like how you mentioned the books. And I like one thing I want to say is you don't have your Disney anymore. Guys, you know,
Hmm.
unsubscribe from all of it, and
Yeah,
read a book. Read a book.
get all the
I
just get all
started
the old
reading.
books.
I started
They're out
reading
there.
like Warhammer. It's Darts. There's a series called The Horus Heresy. It's like the beginning. It's 54 books long. I'm gonna read the whole damn thing because I don't want to watch this crap anymore. Like engaging with these because they own all of it. These things used to be good, right? To the point where like when LucasArts, the original makers of Star Wars, were making Star Wars, and the only reason the last season was good is because they had at least the brain cells to bring back Dave Filoni to write it. If they hadn't, it would have sucked, right? But
Yeah.
like our media is a cesspool. Like look at I always like to talk about Transformers. 1 and 2 were pretty good, and now they're fighting like animals. Like, or you know what the best Transformers
Hey,
was?
hold on. Don't be knocking
Uh
on the Beast Wars. Like, I'm from the original Transformers. Like, I grew up on Transformers. So I'm 35. So I Transformers was out when I was born, but I grew up watching it, like the original movie, the Beast Wars series. That's an old thing, man. Like, that ain't new. Like,
but
the
did they
Beast Wars
do it a
stuff.
service? Did they do it a service with that movie? That's my question to
With
you.
the newest movie, no, they didn't do any service to any of the
They
Transformers in those
Yeah, they
movies. But
ruin
what
it,
they did a
right?
service for is Netflix did a good one. And
Oh yeah.
surprisingly, Amazon did a good one recently too. Like the Transformers Prime or whatever. No, not Prime. Whatever the newest Transformers series movies that just came out, they've been digging into like the lore behind the creation of like the newest movie that just came out was the lore behind the creation of the Sparks, where they they went from being poor, subjugated um, peons like we are to having this spark of power,
Yeah.
which created Optimus Prime and Megatron. It's super cool. Like those, I love. I love Transformers. So don't be knocking on the Beast Wars, bro.
All right. All right.
But
I will.
the prime, they didn't do them well in the movies, but at least they did a decent enough job that they were cool and they were
Right.
badass.
Right. Like the whole like Transformers, or like I love Pacific Rim. The plot,
Oh, I
but
love Pacific Rim.
kaiju and Jaegers
Heck yeah.
punching each other in the ocean. I mean, come on. Who
Who
doesn't
doesn't
who
want to
doesn't
see
like
that?
that? Who doesn't? Right? And I guess like I love like all of these things, but like all these movies, we go back, movies used to like have a real message. Like there was always a
Hmm.
message behind the movie. And I think more and more, like I stopped going to the movies because I'm like, what's the message? Like you're just like throw it, because they knew that they like know there's an algorithm to the human brain. If they throw enough explosions at you, you're just gonna be like,
Yep.
and they,
Ooh.
why did they move credits to the end of the movie? Why? Because they've been turning us into goldfish for like decades, guys. Like this is not like a new thing. And go back and like watch the old movies. Like like go back and watch these movies, because you'll see all of these parallels in a time when like America wasn't a fascist country, and like we believed and like we had some values like that, like fascism is bad and Nazis are bad. Like if you went and watched Inglorious Bastards right now, like you'd probably be like, oh, yikes, that's not good. You know, like I watched
Who doesn't love punching a Nazi though?
yeah, we all love punching Nazis, except the Nazis, right? But
Yeah,
but the
they don't
Nazis,
like it.
they don't like it. But you know what else I watched is Meet the Parents yesterday. Charlie, my fiance, told me, you know, to watch this movie, and they know he said something along the lines of, he was like, yeah, I like it. He showed Ben Stiller in the movie a teddy bear with a camera in it, and he's like, I could, you know, they're watching, you could be watching me everywhere I go. And he's like, isn't that a violation of the Constitution? And I just was like, oh. So it was made in 2000. It's a movie from 2000, you know, and they drop
Mhm.
lines like that, and I'm like, oh my god, what has happened? Like, yes, like literally, like, and maybe that's a good end for Palantalk now that we hit that hour and a half
Yeah,
mark there. But you know, go watch some movies, some older movies, and you know,
yeah.
kind of see what it was like when they were had the right values going on,
And we'll
to a
bring it
degree.
back to our pal and talk to our background to have our shift to close out the show. Is like Shane said, yeah, go back and read a book. Get off the TV, like read a book, even listen to an audiobook, listen to a podcast that you like.
That's
Go support
metadata,
the
right?
people.
You watching that TV
Hmm.
show, that is metadata. They are looking at
Yeah,
that.
and go support the people that you like and care about and what on the services. And I'll plug ourselves is come support us, like come support both of us. I know y'all
Yeah,
are already are in the chat. Like we appreciate everyone for being here. I know I really do. Shane and I got to know each other after a subscriber um connected us.
yeah,
A mutual subscriber connected us, and she helped get us started on stuff like this. And it's awesome. And this is what we mean: is build your community, find new people, be willing to put yourself out there a little bit, and have some fun with it. Like bring
yeah,
joy back to all of this. Because something I like to talk about that the fascists cannot control and the techno-fascists can't control is they cannot control the arts. They cannot control us making art and being creative. So go be creative, go have fun, go do something enjoyable, and just put it out there. Um, and be there for each other and make your communities and make your metadata small.
yeah.
So
Minimize your
Shane,
metadata. Let's end with that. Like,
yeah,
I think that's a great end. So what, like, here are the tools that we're going to give you to minimize your metadata. Okay. When you go in public, wear a mask. Very easy. We had COVID. Everyone's got one. We got lots of masks. Okay. There's more masks than there's people in the world. I guarantee it. Okay.
wear a hat.
Wear a hat. Um, uh, Try and use cash as much as possible. If you're getting gas, maybe go to a different gas station every week. Make yourself a little less predictable. Um, Watch less of these shows. So, all of these things, minimize your metadata. It's very easy. And also, if you're out in public and you see another person with a mask and a hat on, you understand each other. You know you're not alone, right? You
Mhm.
know, like it's kind of these things, visibility is going to help us. It's going to help us feel strong, as and being together. And that's what, at the end of the day, we talk about these super scary things here on Palantalk. But at the core of it, we end with something we both love and something we both enjoy, and that's how we're gonna keep it going. And you know, hopefully one of these days I'll be able to get in there with you know, on one of your wizard councils. I'd love to
Oh,
hop in there
absolutely.
at some point. But my work schedule as a wage slave is very difficult these days. Um,
Well, our Wizards councils are shifting on Fridays to be in the afternoon now.
okay.
So you may have the chance to jump on in and
I
hang
would
out
I
with
I
us.
would love to. I could be what is it? Balagast the
And in
Brown? What's
fact,
this?
if you're
Radagast.
around on, oh yeah, Radagast Brown coming out of nowhere every so often, just come covered in like mushrooms and shit. so
Absolutely.
that
I
you
think
know
there's
you're okay.
some in my
You got to
backyard.
grow a beard though.
I
You got to start
can't. I
working.
can't. Can you make an exception, please? It's just not
Oh
in my
yeah, we
genetics.
can give it. Yeah, we can give an exception.
Yeah,
I know
just
some folks don't have it in them.
I would love it. I think it would
Um,
be cool.
and to think about a thing about metadata, we're going to be doing this is a big piece of metadata that's going to be coming out for us. Is I'm going to be launching something new this weekend with some friends on the Wizards Council, Frederick Pogue and Lawrence Winterman. We're going to be doing a huge event this weekend, starting in the afternoon, all the way on Saturday, all the way through Sunday, into Sunday. Um, and we're going to be talking civics. We're going to be demanding action from our leaders, and we're going to be demanding some stuff around our favorite asshole Epstein and the Trump files, because we're going to put some backbone back into this country. So look out for a cool announcement at the end of the week, coming out for a new publication. Shane, I invite you to come on when you have the time, and
Absolutely.
join us and come talk about stuff while we're on. We're going to be on for at least 24 hours on a live
Oh, I'll
stream.
definitely stop by.
Um,
Yeah.
and so everyone, please stop in. It will not be under the sick of the shit with Nick, but I will be calling it out and boosting it on my channel because it'll be a sub publication of my own too. Um, but look out for it, y'all. We're going to be doing a lot because there's a lot of action that we need to do, and we're activating ourselves and demanding more activism from others. And that's what you should be doing with each other. So let's minimize our metadata and let's go maximize our impact, though.
Absolutely. That's a great line. Minimize your metadata, maximize your impact. Quoting that, Nick Pero. There you go.
Hey, love it. And we'll end the show on that today, y'all. Have a great day.
I just want to say
We'll
one
talk
last thing.
again
I want to
next.
I
Oh,
want to
yeah.
plug myself really quick. I want to
Oh,
plug myself
oh,
real quick.
yeah. My bad, Shane. My bad.
So
Taking all the thunder.
no, you're good. So the Firebrand Project, we just hit 2,000 subscribers. We've done that in
Whoop,
less
whoop.
than 6 months. Monstrous, guys. Like I can't even begin to describe. I have done social media in the past for my hobbies and whatnot. I built a channel on TikTok. It took me twice as long to get to that benchmark. So what's going on? You guys are embracing the Firebrand spirit, the project. We're growing. And as a thank you, I have dropped the paid subscribers for annual and monthly 80% for the next month. So
Yeah.
that will, it's really important because since me and Nick have been talking about this stuff, I've seen the algorithm get a little iffy on me. So we see these things. We've seen people buy in.
Mhm.
So I really need your help. And one of those things is I don't ask you to ever subscribe as a paid subscriber. What I do ask you to do is subscribe and share the Firebrand project with one Firebrand, because each and every spark is how we make the difference. So if you're new here and you haven't met me, come on over to the Firebrand Project. We're so rocking that if you Google the Firebrand Project, I'm the top search result. That's what you call killing SEO. So it's easy to find. If someone says, oh, I don't know, send me a link, you just tell them, hey, just Google the Firebrand Project. It's the first thing that pops up. So thank you all for those of you who are here, who are already Firebrands, who have come to be part of this and to join us, and we can keep speaking out. So definitely that 80% discount, it'll help us, because what I will say is those paid subs, it will put you on a leaderboard. So that's what the
Yes, it
metric is.
does.
Yep. So
Yes,
that's what
sir, it
Nick is doing.
does.
So it puts you on a
79
leaderboard.
rising in US
Yeah,
politics today.
yep. So
I'm
that
down
so
a
I
little
one
from
of the
this
things
weekend.
to fight suppression is to do the things that Substack wants, despite the fact that the algorithm will push down my brutally honest messages. But the last two have done well. Why? Because the Firebrands have been sharing them. They have been
Yep.
restacking them. And engagement is how we fight back on these platforms that engage in suppression. And let's make no mistake that every platform, we're going to have to fight that. But that's part of the grassroots digital movement, is knowing how they work
Mhm.
and turning that against them. And like, that's what we're going to keep doing here. So check out the Firebrand Project if you're new. If you're already a Firebrand, I'm going to challenge you, share Sick of This Shit with Nick, with one person, and with that same person, share the Firebrand Project with them. That's how
Hell
we do
yeah.
it. One person
We
at a time, one post at a
rising
time.
tides lifts all boats. and we rise together in this. So let's minimize that metadata and maximize that impact, y'all.
Thank you very much, Nick. I look forward to seeing you hopefully on this live stream. I'll see you this weekend on your major live stream, and I will see you next Monday for Palantalk.
Yes, sir. Hell yeah.
All right.
Have a great day, y'all.
Bye.